Hi, and welcome to a short video to demonstrate how Gravitee has become the platform of choice for event-native APIs. So let's look at the evolution of how Gravitee has changed over the recent years. First of all, what we had was that we were a traditional proxy for REST and SOAP-based APIs. And then there was a proliferation of event sources like Kafka, MQTT, and Solace. More customers had these event sources, which they essentially ended up building particular applications for to drive data to and get data from. So what Gravitee did was we saw this change, and subsequently we built a protocol mediation layer which allowed people to essentially communicate with these sources in a super straightforward way. And that's what we're going to demonstrate today. Whereas previously you had to create applications, worry about the protocol, worry about communication to and from, and therefore it made it more difficult to actually access those sources. What Gravitee is doing is it's democratizing that access so that more people can utilize those sources. Okay, so let's head over to a quick demonstration. So what we've got here is we've got Gravitee API management, and what we've got here is a Confluent Cloud cluster, and you can see it's called general data, and at the moment we've got some messages in there from previously but no messages today. So what we're going to do is, and you can see that we've got some messages going in and we're going to send some more in using Gravitee. So what we're going to do first is build an API. So let's do that. Let's do a v4 API in Gravitee, and let's call it demo test Kafka version 0.1. And this really shows you how straightforward it is to actually build an API to communicate with Kafka in a super straightforward way. What we're going to do is post the message into Kafka. I'm going to select my entry point, demo test Kafka. Okay, that's my entry point there. Validate my endpoints, and this time it's Kafka. So let's see how straightforward it is to configure. So first of all, what we need to do is give it our Bootstrap server. We're going to publish messages in this case. We're going to use SASL plain, and then what we're going to do is have our config there. So let's do plain there and then put our config in. This is plain text, but essentially normally you would actually be able to use Gravitee properties, but I just wanted to show you in a quite straightforward way. The topic name that we're going to publish to is general data, so I'm just going to put general data there and then validate my endpoints and validate my plans. So that's my configuration done. So now let's test by pushing some messages into Kafka. So let's open up the API console here and look at our entry point. So we've got demo test Kafka. So what we're going to do is just open Postman and put in that entry point into our gateway. So we've got our gateway, we've got demo test Kafka, and we're going to push a message into there. So let's see if that we can proxy a interface to Kafka. So let's send that message in. And if we've configured that correctly, we should get a 202 accepted there, which is perfect. So now let's head over to Confluent and see if that Kafka message has landed. And you can see it's landed there, which is super neat. So in that short period of time, what I've been able to do is send a message into Kafka. And let's just send another message in just to show you as well. Let's just change that to 102 and send. And hopefully what we should see is that message come through in a second. Okay, we should get that 102 accepted, and that's the message landing there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is now we're going to subscribe to Kafka. So we're going to see we're not going to see the publishing, we're going to see the subscription of messages. So let's head over to Gravitee again. let's create another API, v4 API. Let's do demo test Kafka subscribe. I've spelled that right. No, I haven't. There we go. Demo test Kafka subscribe. Okay, so let's do that. Now we're going to do backend Kafka again. This time we're going to do a WebSocket. So we're going to consume messages via a WebSocket. Just going to paste that into there. Validate my endpoints, Kafka again. Let's just configure this up again like we did earlier. Bear with me. Just going to get my Bootstrap server. This time we are a consumer. Let's do SASL again. Exactly the same that we had earlier. Let's put in the config there again. This time we're going to look at general data. There's lots of configuration options you can use as well. For example, you can pick the offset, etc. as well, but we're just going to go for the defaults here. Okay, again, what we've done is that we have created a WebSocket connection to Kafka, and we're going to save and deploy. Okay, so now we go to API management, we look at the entry point, okay, and then we head over to Postman. Perfect, so let's now go to here, and what we've got is a WebSocket, which is looking at the gateway, and it's got our API there that we've just built. So let's connect that, and you can see that's connected now. So now we've got something that's publishing and something that's subscribing. So now let's go to here and just change that to 103 and send. Okay, that's 202 accepted. So if we go to Confluent Cloud, you can see that 103 should appear in a second, which it does. So let's go to our WebSocket and we can see a message that's come in, 103. So we've got the publish, we've got the subscribe. So let's just try that again. Let's do 104, send, and we should see the WebSocket 104 has arrived. So in that short period of time, what we've been able to do is build an API which has been able to publish messages to Confluent Cloud and accept messages from Confluent Cloud, just making that journey so much easier. So now let's head over to another demo, which is a little bit more fun, but essentially it kind of describes how you can use it in reality. So what we've got here is that we've got a slot car racing set, and I'll show you this racing set in a second. And what we've got is that the racing set is going to send messages, so lap times, it's going to send via a Raspberry Pi, and it's going to post those API messages into Gravitee, which essentially is going to land those messages into Confluent Cloud. And then we're going to have another application which is subscribing to that Confluent Cloud topic and publishing those lap times into a Google dashboard. So let's now see if we can explain that very quickly. Okay, so let's explain this setup. So what we've got is that, first of all, we've got an API here, which is called Scalextric's Publish. And this is set up in exactly the same way as previously. We've got an entry point, which is Scalextric's Publish. And we've got an endpoint, which is Kafka. Okay, we've got another API, which is called Scalextric's Subscribe. So let's find that one. There we go. And this has got an entry point, which is a WebSocket, and an endpoint, which is Kafka. Okay, so what we've got here is our Raspberry Pi setup. This is actually going to take in a driver name. So let's take in a driver name. Let's call it Tammy. Let's do an email address because it publishes the results, that particular person. Okay, and then what we're going to do is that we're going to run the race in a second. But essentially what's going to happen is that the race results will go in, it will hit a WebSocket, and you can see that the WebSocket is listening to that Kafka topic. Yeah, Scalextric subscribe. It's going to subscribe to that start the listener. And then once it starts the listener, it's going to add new rows to BigQuery. and then this dashboard is sitting off BigQuery, and once we refresh it, we will get the results of that new lap time. So essentially, we're going to start off the process by running the lap times. When the fastest lap times comes through, it will hopefully appear on this dashboard using our APIs that we've created, Scalextric publish and Scalextric subscribe. So let's see if this works. So I'm going to just going to hit return there, and then I'm going to go over and start the race. And you can see those lap times coming through. Great. So now what you've done is that we've recorded the fastest lap time for Tammy, and that lap time has now been added. So basically it's been published, it's subscribed. If we go to Confluent Cloud, we should see messages. So let's just refresh Confluent Cloud. I think that message actually came in there. Let's refresh that, and we should have seen Tammy's time come through. But let's just wait for a second for it to come through. There we go. We've got Tammy's time come through there, and yeah, you can see that lap times come through. So now let's refresh our dashboard. Refresh that data, and you can see that Tammy was just behind Rory there. It was super close. Let's give it another go. Let's see if we can. Let's see if Linus can beat Rory. Okay, just going to give it another go. Okay, it's got a little cutoff, so you can't go too fast. You can't go less than a second. But essentially that new row's been added there, so it's been able to post the message into our Kafka cluster. Let's head over to Kafka and see if that message has appeared. It's going to appear in a second. Linus's data is going to appear any second here. There we go. It's appeared there. And let's do a refresh of that data. Oh, Linus was close again, but not quite. So Rory wins. But essentially what we're showing there is that you can actually create these APIs to interact with your event sources in a super straightforward way. So you're actually giving more people the ability to use these complex event sources with just a simple API proxy. Thank you so much for joining me for that quick demo, and I'll see you again on the next video.